America. This is episode 12, Big Daddy's Kitchen number 49. Happy New Year, happy 2021. Putting the horrendous 2020 in our rear view mirror, and we're moving ahead with the ultimate challenge today on Big Daddy's Kitchen number 49, the long promised meatballs episode. So I haven't cooked this for a long time, and if you believe it, right over here, I've got a recipe in front of me. That's how long it's been. And if you want to know why I haven't cooked this for a long time, you will know after I'm done putting in the work and you seeing this work, you'll know why I don't do this much. But do this properly and I'll tell you there's nothing quite like it at all. So this meatball recipe that I'm making today actually comes from my brother-in-law. I think of my grandma more than anybody when I think of meatballs, but it comes from my brother-in-law Cosimo, who got it from his mother. I call it meatballs de Cosimo. But it probably we'd have to go back 400 years to actually find the person who invented this, because it's really good and it's really authentic. But before we get started, my helper, come on out here, Leah. I guess we're doing an applause.
Hello guys, welcome back to Big Daddy's Kitchen again for the ultimate challenge. So I want to, before we start the episode and all that, you have to make sure to like and subscribe and hit the notification button and see how you liked it by typing in the chat box right below.
And share.
And share.
Awesome job. High five.
Alright, here's a kiss for everybody. Mwah.
All right, now we're going to move over here. My lovely wife and executive producer behind the camera is going to shoot me rolling the meatball. So this is called meatballs. It's not the meatball. We have this giant ball of meat here. What this is a roughly 6-to-1 ratio of ground chuck, which is a fattier cut of beef, to ground pork, okay? A 6-to-1 ratio. So I have about 3 pounds of ground chuck in here, and it's actually a little more than half a pound of ground pork, but we're gonna go with it. Some folks do nothing but pork meatballs. That's okay too. And then the next thing we've got up here is an authentic grated Reggiano Parmigiano, really good stuff, really expensive, though it doesn't necessarily have to be, it just has to be good. And then we've got eggs, we're gonna put eggs in as well, and breadcrumbs. Now, believe it or not, we're using Progresso Italian style breadcrumbs, which has a bunch of stuff in there. This is not terribly flavorful. You smell it, it doesn't jump out at you. It's just got some gentle herbs and spices. It goes well. If you want to use plain breadcrumbs, you can, but then I would definitely add a little bit of garlic powder or garlic salt in there to taste, and some fresh chopped parsley would be a good thing, or even a nice parsley out of a can would make it good. But this works very well too. And my mother, who made her own brand of meatballs for many years, which I love and which are fantastic, would always use this, and believe it or not, like a crappy Kraft grated Parmesan cheese, and her meatballs came out great all the time. So you don't have to have the perfect ingredients, but you gotta get your balance. And over here, I've got the sauce, which has been sitting for a couple of days, and we've got a big size Big Daddy's Kitchen big pot. This is about the smallest I would actually do. You want a whole bunch of sauce in there, because I'm expecting we're gonna get about 40 meatballs out of this. Your meatballs are gonna be about this size. Don't ask me the weight, because I don't know. Yeah, I got a recipe book, but a lot of this is still just by sight and by experience, okay? So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add our cheese, and half a cup of Parmesan cheese for every pound of meat we have. We're gonna round it up to 4 pounds of meat. So we're gonna go with 2 cups of this grated Parmesan. And man, is this good stuff. Whoa, getting away from me. Right in there, baby. Oh yeah. Let's go with a full 2 cups. And that just about does it. That'll be enough. One of these. All right. Man, that smells incredible. So the Parmesan cheese makes these softer. And then the breadcrumbs add some bulk, and eggs bind it together. If you get too dry when you're mixing this, and it's getting a little dry now, maybe because of the cheese, you can add a little bit of water. Now we use the good water here, the good filtered water, the good Brita or pure filtered water. Just add a little bit as you go to make it easier to work and move this around. Okay, clean up a wee bit. And the way we're going to make this is to actually take the meatballs and put them directly in the sauce, which we will have at a gentle rolling boil. You want it low to medium heat when you're cooking. And you're going to cook for about an hour, hour and a half. Pull one out, cut through, make sure that it's done, okay? That's how we do that. And so our breadcrumbs, we want 1 cup of breadcrumbs per pound of meat, so we're going to have a whole bunch of breadcrumbs in here. I'm going to add some real bulk. I'm going to go with like 4 of these. You know what? Maybe I'll cut it a little bit because this is looking like a lot. Maybe we'll go with 3. That's the joy of Italian cooking. You improvise on the fly, okay? And now we're going to go with eggs. Because we've got so much bread in here and so much cheese, I'm going to go with a full 8 eggs. You want 2 good eggs per pound of meat. And we're saying we have roughly 4 pounds of meat, a little bit less. I'm going to go with 8 eggs because this looks like a lot of breadcrumbs to me. That's 4. And that's 5. And 6. And 7. And 8, baby. So back to the issue of how to cook the meatballs. Mom and I had a spirited discussion before this episode. This episode almost didn't happen. Mama is of the school that says you want to bake the meatballs on the outside, give them a bit of texture, or some folks will even fry them and then put them into the sauce, or make the sauce separately and add the sauce at the end when you put it over your pasta. That's not how Grandma did it, and that's not the way meatballs, the Cosimo, are made. You want them very, very soft. I want them very soft. Let's put it that way. I've had nice fried meatballs or baked meatballs in the past. This makes them very soft and tender. And the upside of doing it this way is you're not cooking off any of the fat. You want a whole bunch of fat in that sauce circulating around. The pork in particular is going to give this an amazing smoky flavor that only pork can do. Now some folks will add veal in there as well. You can put a little bit of veal for a different flavor. But as they say in the prison scene in Goodfellas, you gotta have the pork. You gotta have the pork. I'm gonna mix this up. We'll take a little break in shooting here. You come on back when we have our meatballs ready to go into the pot. Back to the meatball episode of Big Daddy's Kitchen number 49. We have a whole bunch of meatballs rolled up, and you can see these are man-sized meatballs, but they're good for women too. We have probably twice this many already in the pot, or I would say 1.5 times this already in the pot. So here's the trick, okay, folks? Come on over here, Mom. Let's see if you can get a shot of the pot. You see, we've got a gentle boil. I'm gonna go up to like a 4 heat here because this is gonna bring the temperature down. And you just lay these in very gently into the pot, all right? Lay the babies into the crib very gently. And you do need to keep stirring this to make sure that your sauce does not stick. But the first 10 or 15 minutes is the most delicate portion, all right? Because again, these are not fried, these are not baked. They just have a soft texture to them right now, and you don't want to be pulling them apart as you stir. I'm going to try to get these guys under the sauce very gently. We move it around very gently out there at the bottom. Okay. You can stir more vigorously as time goes on. I had this pot about as full as it is now with sauce, and I had to take some out. We ate a little pasta before we started shooting this. So you have to think, if you're gonna cook 4 pounds of meat, you want your sauce to be starting right about there in the pot. I shot it right about there because it's gonna bring the level up, just like putting ice cubes into a cup of water, okay? Now look at that, we're gonna be almost at the top here by the time we get all these guys in. What you don't wanna do is boil this on high. You want this on a low to medium heat. Let it simmer. You're gonna cook for at least an hour, probably more like an hour and a half. And these are gonna be amazing. And they'll be even better tomorrow, because that's how it is with sauce. That's all I got for you right now, America. Any questions from our executive producer about the process? Anything you wanna ask? I'm feeling expansive. No? Okay, so let me add this. A week ago, we had a family Zoom, a Frogomini family Zoom, where everybody got on. It was 7 o'clock on a Friday night, and we talked a lot about our grandma. I got all choked up thinking about this beautiful woman who just loved you so much. Every time her eyes met you, this big smile came out on her face. And I always picture grandma right here in front of a big pot of sauce, right? Always with a spoon in her hand, and then bringing it over to the table, and just everybody lighting up. And it was really nice to recount that memory. And that's what we're trying to reproduce here on Big Daddy's Kitchen, specifically here with Meatballs today. And I'll tell you, it was nice to sit there with the family and talk about that. Me and my 45 cousins, Tony, and my brother, Tony, and all the other cousins and aunts and uncles. Boy, it was nice. So anyways, the love is in the pot. We're gonna give it an hour, hour and a half, and we'll be back with you. We're back. We've been slow boiling our meatballs for a little over an hour now, and it smells so nourishing and incredible right here. I want you to get a close shot in there, Mama. Look at this slow boil that we have going on. We've got an electric stove, so we probably started at about a 4 or a 5, low, medium heat, and gradually it just gets hotter, and you can turn it down, down, down. We're on a 1 right now, and as time goes on, you need to stir a little more often to keep your sauce from sticking at the bottom. Nothing worse than having the sauce stick. And these are getting close to done. And man, they look beautiful. Notice how the color of the sauce has changed. How it's a little bit lighter. That's the fat getting into the marinara and changing it and giving it all kinds of wonderful flavor. We will check back when they're done, let you know how it is. Oh man, what a journey this has been. And here we are. This just looks incredible. Let's get a close-up of this. I tried one already, and they are absolutely amazing. You can always tell with the nose when it's going to be good. You smell it across the apartment. It's unbelievable. So you put a little bit of salt on this to bring out the flavor, and then a little bit of Parmesan. You do want to try it first before you start putting salt and Parmesan on, but just look at that. That's a lot of Italian grandmother love, a lot of generations there, okay? And, ooh, they're soft. You cut them with a fork. Not too soft, so they don't fall apart. Oh man. I can't even tell you. I don't think I've ever had meatballs like that in a restaurant, people. This is where it's at. So, from my family to yours, I say salute. Thank you for coming back to Big Daddy's Kitchen. Stay tuned. We'll see you next time.